I'm Jacqueline Clements. We might have just saved a life. I love this country of Canada. This land has many amazing towns scattered throughout the countryside. I enjoy exploring these small towns and their quaint shops. But it's not just about shops and businesses. It's about the people behind them and their stories. Okotoks, Alberta is one of those towns, nestled in the foothills of the Rockies, just south of Calgary. Welcome to In the Jump Seat with Jacqueline. So today we get to visit with a really special lady. Her name is Tanya Douglas, and she's the owner of not one but two businesses here in Okotoks, Alberta. Pure Envy Salon and Spa opened about 9 years ago here in Okotoks. And then the pandemic happened. And Tanya has an amazing story that I can hardly wait for you to hear, how she navigated the pandemic in Little Okotoks, Alberta. Tanya, thank you for being on the show with me today. I'm so excited to hear your story, and I know our viewers are going to be excited about hearing your story of resilience too.
Well, thanks for having me.
So you have been in business for 9 years, and somewhere in between there, COVID happened.
Yes.
And tell us what happened.
So COVID happened towards the beginning of 2020, and obviously everything changed. We had to change everything in the salon here, put in protocols, put up plexiglass, have everybody, you couldn't have people come up into the reception and wait and stuff like that. So we just had to pivot a little bit, but we still stayed open at the beginning there. Then obviously they closed us down entirely in March 2020.
Okay, so I want to jump in because you just mentioned plexiglass all through your salon. So that has got to be a cheap thing to put up, right?
Well, plexiglass used to be really cheap, and then once the pandemic happened, it jumped up in price. So
just like everything else, right?
It was around $3,000 just to put the plexiglass in place in the hair salon there. I mean, obviously in the spa side, we're all in our separate rooms. So it didn't really affect this side. Like we were one-on-one with our clients this side anyway. But in the hair salon, they couldn't. Normally you would sit in the seat, have your roots and everything done, and then you would go and process. I would jump in the seat, have my hair done. They weren't allowed to do any of that. So it had to just be one person. So immediately their income for the stylist was halved, because they couldn't have that kind of two people in a seat at the same time. So yeah, it was definitely challenging. But at the beginning there, we were, still open. We made all the adjustments that the government had recommended to us in order to keep the business open and stay open.
So some of the questions that people ask through the pandemic is how did you navigate it? How did you continue to make money? Because at some point we all know that everything was shut down.
Yeah, so once everything was shut down, I think that first time when everything was shut down, everything was so unknown. As a country, we didn't know if we were facing Italy or the New York situation. So I was thoroughly kind of behind the decision to shut the businesses so that the AHS could properly prepare and we were being as safe as possible. As a business owner and someone who's paying the mortgage and all the bills that just keep coming no matter what the pandemic is doing.
Right.
That was something that we had to kind of navigate. We had to phone the mortgage company and put that on hold. That being said, you still had to pay your interest because they wanted that. So it was just the principal payment that they stopped, and then they tagged that on the end for you. But I was in a really fortunate position compared to some because we owned the unit here. Well, the bank owns the unit here.
Right, of course, yeah.
So I didn't have to go through a landlord in order to, find a way and a solve to actually do that. And then when they shut the business down, I wasn't sure how long for or anything, so I went out and got a job.
I want to talk more about your business and how you were resilient through the pandemic, because it's really interesting to me how involved you are in the community of Okotoks. Once a year, your amazing clients buy raffle tickets for a chance to
Win an entire year's worth of spa treatments. And then each year we choose a different charity. And we always make sure it's a very local charity to Okotoks or just outside. And the community and our clients are amazing. They raise so much money each year for us, and it's an amazing, warm feeling. We've worked with several local charities, and we've done that since the very first year. It's something we're super proud of here, for sure.
So the pandemic started and you were going to be forced to close. And your story is so fascinating to me because instead of cowering and saying, okay, now I don't know what to do, I'm going to just close up. This is endless. There's nothing going to happen. You decided, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to be proactive. And tell our viewers how you were proactive.
So as far as Pure Envy goes, when they did close us down here, there was very little we could do after that. Once it was closed, it was closed. But I don't do well sitting at home. So I decided that it would be an amazing time to open up another business. So I started doing some research.
Yeah, because anybody will tell you, any business planner will tell you the best time to do it is during a pandemic.
Well, there are some pluses to opening a business up during the pandemic. So, negotiating rents on businesses, it's a way better time. I mean, you have a whole bunch of landlords, and if they had an empty unit, it's very hard to fill that during a pandemic. So negotiation on that, negotiation on equipment.
Okay.
So I decided that Okotoks needed a cocktail bar. Coming from London originally,
Okay.
I missed having that small, intimate kind of cocktail bar where you could just go get a really good drink. So I can be behind the bar and I can chat to the clients and right out at their tables. It's just fun, intimate setting. Because of the pandemic, we ended up going with a very prohibition kind of theme. Opening a bar is something that I thought about for a couple of years, but with the salon, just trying to, navigate that time. And what better time when your business is shut down and you have nothing but time on your hands. So that's what I did.
Well, and there was something amazing that happened through that because you say a small group of local businesswomen donated patio tables when you were shut down because there was no dining in.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So my business partner Jen and I had been working on the business. We took over the lease towards the end of 2020 and started doing the renovations, and we opened on St. Patrick's Day 2021. So at that time, we felt like it was a calculated decision and that everybody was starting to reopen and all these promises of, we're going to be back open and everything. Well, within 3 weeks, we were closed. So that was fun.
I can't even imagine.
And then a local MLA's wife contacted me, Leanne, and asked about our patio. And so I said, well, we hadn't actually set up a patio because that's what the government were allowing, was you to go to patio. I was like, well, we have some tables inside. We'll maybe just move those outside, just trying to pivot and, work out the logistics of serving alcohol on a public street, right? So there wasn't, you couldn't just do it. And so I was like, if you give us a time, I thought she wanted to book a table for the night. And she was like, oh no, I have tables for you. She was like, a group of women I've just reached out to, my network of business ladies in the
No
area.
way.
And yeah, they just turned up with 4 picnic tables that were hand built by a local gentleman, that
Unbelievable.
were stained. They had a staining party to like varnish the tables for us. And then a local welder actually did a huge sign up for us and burnt our logo onto the tables. So not only did we have tables, we had these amazing tables that everybody
Wow.
locally had just come together and helped us.
So it just goes again to that whole community feel. We're going to be in this together.
100%, yeah. And we have had nothing but continuous support like that from Okotoks. I mean, Okotoks is amazing. I just love this town.
What is one takeaway that you would want our viewers to know about your business and about Okotoks?
I think the biggest takeaway from a business in Okotoks is other businesses support each other. So with Salute in particular, we use a lot of local produce, jars of sunshine, and the Main Street Market and the Hidden Gem. We get our prizes for our trivia and our drag bingos to give away our prizes.
Right.
It's that small town feel with big city amenities and a huge heart.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for just blessing me with just my hair, styling my hair and coloring it. Yes, I color my hair. No surprise there. But Christy was fantastic. And like, come find Christy. Like, phone Pure Envy Salon and Spa and say, Christy, Jacqueline said I should come to you because she was great. And she is an OG for you, an original
Yes.
gangster.
100%. She's my ride or die. Yep.
Okay.
She's been here since the beginning. I'm really blessed with all the girls that I have
Yes,
here.
your crew is really
Yeah.
good.
I mean, my roots are Kitty. Down here is Danica. I'm pretty sure here was Ashley. Like, I'm super blessed with all of them. We have Erin here. She does our registered massage therapy.
Okay.
So we do all that with the direct billing. We have Leslie, who is our skin specialist, and she does facials and just relaxing, massage, manicures,
okay.
pedicures. She's the nice one. I am not the nice one.
What is it that you do?
If you're in my room, then you're in pain generally. I do the waxing and the chemical peels and the laser treatments.
I just want you to know I didn't do that.
Hey, what happens in the spa stays in the spa.
That's right. But I love this sign. I'm a beautician, not a magician.
For real though. People need to know that my abilities is only so far. I can't do everything. It's very interesting because I do a lot of more intimate services, shall we say. So when someone comes in the bar, you can see that initial like, oh my gosh, that's my person. So just so you know, I will never acknowledge you in the bar. It's like nothing happened here. Everything
Very
that
good.
happens in the spa stays in the spa, and everything happens in the bar stays in the bar.
Sweet.
So, but yeah, no, we have 8 stylists out the front there. So all of your hair needs from hair extensions and that, and then the spa side here. So
Wow.
I have an amazing team. I am beyond blessed to work with the
Wow.
women. They're all strong boss babes here.
So just before we end, I wanted to talk about you not only run 2 businesses, have a household, but you also joined a new board in the last year during pandemic. Is that correct?
It is, yes. Yeah. So the year's worth of spa treatment that we chose a charity a few years back, we chose Baby It's Cold Outside.
Okay.
So Pamela Morgan, who is the founder of that charity, had reached out and said that they were looking for directors and like-minded people to kind of move forward with the charity. And I was like, I got plenty of time. Let's go for it.
Wow.
So yeah,
So-
she's a pleasure to work with.
Well, and I just love how entrepreneurial you are. And again, it just all goes back to how much you love this community. You want to be part of it. You support it. So I just am so grateful that I got to meet you and that our paths have crossed and now continue to walk together. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
In this episode, I get to meet Monica. She's the owner of All Through the House right here in Okotoks, Alberta. Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I want to know more about All Through the House. So tell me about how this works, first of all, and then let's talk about how you maneuvered or navigated through COVID.
Well, All Through the House began downtown Okotoks
Okay.
as antiques and reproductions and home decor and candy.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, it migrated out here to the greenhouse across the street. And then I got a hold of a warehouse, and so I thought I would expand a little, but I expanded a lot. And I decided that I would build this house inside of a warehouse because All Through the House is a house. So I did that, and then I thought, how am I going to help pay my rent? So I invited vendors here to help me pay the rent, so they all have little stores in here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's all kind of divided up.
It is.
I mean, I noticed that, but I wasn't sure what the divisions were.
They are mainly on the outside of the house and half of the house to the front.
Okay.
And they're all little booths here. There's 5 or 6 along here, 4 inside, 6 along the outside, and
Okay.
then 2 on the end over here.
So people can just rent a little spot,
Yep.
bring in their, do they have to be antiques or can they be anything?
Vintage, antique, collectible, repurposed, upcycled,
Okay.
painted. Nothing new.
Nothing new.
No.
Okay.
No, just the used stuff.
Okay. Now, did you know what you were doing? Were you a business entrepreneur and had your business plan and none of
No
that?
business plan. No, nothing. Just bought it and said, here we go, pretty much. What it was is that I wanted All Through the House to stay in Okotoks. I didn't want it to go away. And by purchasing it from my sister, it stayed that way.
You have some really neat things in this, All Through the House, in this business, in this warehouse. Although there are 2 things that I want to talk about. They're outside in the yard. So let's talk about those.
Okay.
So one of them is the horse.
Yes.
So tell us about the horse.
Well, I'm a horse lover.
Okay.
So I just happened to mention to these people that take they take over a business that's gone out of business. So what they did is I happened to mention that I was looking for a fiberglass horse, like a life-size one. And they mentioned to me that they had one. And it was in a sea can in Milo. And so I said, well, okay, so how much do you want for him? And they said, oh, $1,500. And I said, can I go and see him? So he was originally from Bradley's Western Wear in High River. So after I made the deal to go out there and have a look at him and say, he's mine, I actually borrowed my daughter's truck because I didn't have a truck, put him in the back, drove him from there to High River so he could see his home ground.
Oh.
Because he's almost as old as I am. He's an antique. He
No
definitely
way.
is an antique, yeah.
You're not an antique, you're seasoned.
Seasoned, right. So I took a picture of him in front of Bradley's Western Wear in High River so that I could say, this is where it starts, right? And so he's been
nice.
to Lethbridge, to the parade there. He's been to Spruce Meadows. He's been to the Stampede. He's been around. He's been to
No
weddings. He was
way.
at a Stampede party. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So people just rent him.
Yeah,
So
they
do you
can
still
rent
do
them.
that?
I do a little bit. He's an antique, so he's starting to crack and everything too. So I do have to
Okay.
do a bit of work with him before I rent him out again.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
he's my baby. His name's Burlap.
Oh, that's funny.
He has his own page. Yeah.
Oh, really? On
He does,
Facebook?
yeah.
So you can check him out on Facebook. He has his own page, Burlap. So that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Now, there's another really unique item out in your yard, and it is the windmill?
Oh yeah, the whirligig.
The whirligig. So tell us about that.
Okay, well that is a picking trip in Saskatchewan. So it's I went to an old barn in Saskatchewan, and I'm picking in it and everything, and the, the lady said, is there anything else you're interested in? I said, well, is that for sale over there? And she goes, oh, my whirligig. I said, oh yeah, sure. So it is old cream cup separators on bicycle rims, and each one is angled at a way where the wind will catch it depending on which direction it's in.
Really?
Yeah, so an old farmer made it for his wind direction help. So I just thought, well, I got to have that. So she said, yeah, it's yours.
No
So
way.
I bought it for, I think it was $100 or something like that, and it's not for sale.
I was just going to ask, is
Yeah.
it for sale? No.
No, it's not. The horse isn't either.
Okay, well, because I really like them.
Yeah.
I like both. I like the horse and the whirligig because that's really, they're just very unique objects.
They are.
So, Monica, there are two things outside that were really specific, but there's also another object that's pretty specific that has great history behind it. Can you tell us what that is?
So this was in the big workshop that they had there, and it was on the wall, and I'm looking at it going, I love that because I've never had anything that big before. And I thought, I got a wall perfect for that. They made this sign for one of the movies. I don't know. It's called Hitcher Part 2, and it's in that movie.
No, well, that's really cool to have some vintage movie memorabilia.
Yeah. I've actually never seen the movie, but I would like to, just to check
Say,
it out
"I
and
got
see, hey, I
that."
got that sign.
I think that's really cool. That's great. Well, let's move right into how COVID affected your business, because it affected every business differently. And I'm wondering, how did it affect all through the house?
Well, they didn't deem us essential because we didn't have food. We didn't have what they call essentials. I think what we have here are essentials, but that's just my opinion. So they closed us. I was hanging on to the last minute till they said, okay, Monica, you got to close. So on March 14th, we were closed for 2 months. And that 2 months was the longest 2 months I've ever experienced in a business. And so what happened was I thought, how am I going to get to the people? So I got the staff, which was wonderful. They're over there. And we all took inventory, entered it all in over those months, so I was able to hire, and offer a little bit of work for them while we weren't open. And people were literally knocking on that door over there, and they're peering through the fence going, so can we just buy that? I kind of go, no, I'm not open. So call me, or I'll put it out on the deck, and then you can come pick it up. So I managed to look after the rent that way, and a little bit of the wages and stuff like that. But also the landlord was really helpful as well. And
good.
They went and applied for subsidies and that kind of thing. But the online has helped immensely.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of online orders. Not so much now, I have to say. So I haven't really promoted it enough, but it did help over
So
COVID.
through those 2 months, you made a website, put all your stuff online, and then people found you and ordered. You were able to do curbside. So that's fantastic.
Yes.
Just another way that another business owner in Okotoks finds that determination to be able to stay open and to navigate in such a great way through COVID. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Because it's just so difficult. I mean, everybody found it difficult in those times. So now that we're past that, you've made it through. So what are you doing now? What services, what do you offer at all through the house? Because it's not just antiques. There are more things that you do. So what is that?
Well, we offer workshops, which is fusion mineral paint, fusion milk paint. We have decor transfers. We have stencils. So we teach people how to paint with the mineral paint, and also to learn how to stencil. What else do we have? We're going to do little stools, and we've done ironing boards where you can actually paint an old ironing board, a wooden one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that's neat. If there's anything that we have a lot of, I try and use that as one of the items that we use in a workshop.
Okay.
We also have tailgate sales out in the parking lot until COVID hit, and that
Okay.
stopped until we were allowed to have them again. We didn't have them for 1 year, and then we started them up again the next year, and we had the COVID rules that we had to follow by.
Okay.
So we managed. It was all outside,
Wow.
so everybody.
How creative.
We had to count how many were in, how many were out, how many were in the store.
Okay.
Yeah, it was difficult, but at the same time, we managed to run them.
So you are rebranding that from tailgate
To
to,
junk in the trunk.
and tell us exactly what that is.
I had heard tailgate sales before because actually Okotoks had them a long time ago on Daggett, which is behind the Western Wheel.
Okay.
They had them there, I'm going to say 25, 30 years ago.
Wow.
So I was
You're
trying to
bringing it back.
resurrect that a little bit.
Yeah.
But everybody was a little confused what that meant. Like, does that mean tailgates are for sale, or
Is it a
you know,
barbecue?
is it barbecue, like, at a football game? Yeah. So I thought about that, and I thought this year, no, we've got to change that up. So junk in the trunk, and that means exactly what it is. It's like the junk sales of the U.S. They have the junkers and the flea markets and that kind of thing. That's more the way I want it to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're starting that this summer, so that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's wonderful. You're being so creative, and you're using all your resources for the community of Okotoks to continue to come together. I really, really appreciate and admire your tenacious attitude
Thank you.
towards that.
Thank you.
There's one question I've been asking this season in our episodes, and it is, what is one takeaway that you would want our viewers to know about your business and about Okotoks?
A lot of people come here because they say it's their happy place.
Oh,
So it is. It's everybody's happy place.
wow.
Yeah, and it's mine too. Okotoks is hugely loyal. They really are.
Yeah.
They're the ones
Yeah,
that were
they
knocking on the
support.
door. They're the
Yeah.
ones knocking on the door and going, "Can I get that thing right in the fence, behind the fence there?"
Thanks, Monica, for having me today and for showing me all through the house and talking about your love for Okotoks and how you have navigated through the pandemic to come out on the other side. So come check it out in person or online. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me on In the Jump Seat with Jacqueline.